Very special word of welcome to everyone at our campuses. I'm so happy to be with you on New Year's Blessing Day in Kernersville, Clemens, and King, and to those that will be joining us online for this brief message that introduces us into a very, very special time of receiving blessing. Are you ready for some good news? Jesus wants you to have out of this world peace. That's what he says, peace not as the world gives. In fact, he wants you to have his very own peace, the calm of his very heart. It is a new year and new possibilities, and we like to always start with a blessing rather than just our vows, because we all need encouragement. And I was thinking about my Apple Watch that I got some years ago. It's so encouraging to me. I remember when I first got it, that first New Year's Day, and it came on and it wished me a happy New Year's. I've told it to call me the Right Reverend Wright, and it's very respectful of me. And it came and said, Happy New Year's Day, Right Reverend Wright, and gave me fireworks. And I realized all throughout the day, anytime I needed a little pick-me-up, I could get some fireworks out of my watch. And then I discovered I could give it some goals, exercise goals, very basic things. And if I accomplished them, it would celebrate what I had accomplished and tell me that I was doing a fine job. Like one of the goals is to stand up at least once every hour for 12 hours during the day. Doesn't sound like a big deal, but you would be surprised how often we'll just sit there and sit and sit. And so it'll remind me you hadn't stood up yet, and I'll stand up for a couple of minutes, and it'll say, congratulations, you did it. And if at the end of the day I have stood up 12 times, it'll come and tell me congratulations and give me an award. And really just, I appreciate my watch letting me know how wonderful I am. And we all need the encouragement. I'm trying to think about whether I could train it, to be a little more responsive to the times, like the situations that I'm in. It's like maybe you heard me tell a few weeks ago about how New Year's Day started out for me this year, a wonderful day, but I got on the golf course, and at the end of the day, I was chipping a little bit, and some crabby old man came out of his house 200 yards away, yelled at me and told me to get out of there, that I was ruining the green, I mean, that's where I need my watch to come up and tell me, remember, that guy is just being a fool, and you're a son of the Most High God. Don't run down there and kick him in the shin like you're thinking about doing. Remember who you are, Right Reverend Wright. Blessed with every spiritual blessing. The watch, maybe it could bless me a little bit more. But of course, it's just cold, cool gadgetry. We need something more personal than that, don't we? And we need love with it. It's probably why we love dogs so much. We don't have a dog anymore. We had a beagle for years. We loved him so much. But now we're empty nest and we're free. But I saw that at this year's Consumer Electronics Symposium that all the new gadgets are out, that they have now come out with a very lifelike, robotic golden retriever puppy. I mean, just look at this thing. It's so cute. You pet the puppy, it wags its tail, it lifts its ears up. It's very lifelike. I thought, well, maybe that's my answer. Very easy to take care of, an actual robotic puppy, and you can take it with you wherever you go. And somebody yells at me on the golf course, get my watch and my puppy, and I'll be all right. It is true that we long for encouragement and love. And the reason we long for it is not because we're pitiful creatures, it's because we're made for it. No matter how tough you are, no matter how shy you are, no matter how big or small you are, old or young, we are made for blessing, for a positive vision that's spoken over our lives in faith, in accord with God's Word, in a context of real love. Blessing. It's for this reason that we bless people in the new year rather than saying, hey, try harder this year, get some good New Year's resolutions and vows and dig down deep. Instead, we want to share the real power of something that's more than encouragement and different than prayer. It really is an eye-to-eye and face-to-face kind of impartation, really, because in the beginning, God blessed, and then he released Adam and Eve. You can look at this in Genesis 1:27. God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him, male and female, he created them. And look at this. And God blessed them. And God said to them, be fruitful and multiply, and fill the earth and subdue it, and have dominion. So in the world, it seems that most of the time, if we will be productive, if we will perform, if we'll prove ourselves useful, then maybe somebody will bless us and say, good job. But notice this, with God, the blessing is not the reward for productivity, it's the fuel for it. It's why it's a good way to get started in a year and to think about God's real vision over your life. Something about the blessing is very powerful in the biblical context. I remember being really moved by this many years ago when I was reading the story of Isaac blessing his son. Isaac was old, nearly blind, and it was customary for him to bless his firstborn Esau. But Jacob, the younger son, was duplicitous and conniving, and he came in and tricked his old blind father into thinking that he, Jacob, was Esau, so that Isaac ended up speaking the blessing that should have been for Esau over Jacob. And what really grabbed my attention many years ago was these verses here in Genesis 27 of Isaac's response once he realized he'd blessed the wrong son. I thought he'd just say, oh, whoops, blessed the wrong son, let me redo it, do over. But that's not what happened. Instead, his father Isaac said to him, who are you? And Jacob answered, I'm your son, your firstborn Esau. This is the scene where now Esau has come in to get his blessings. This is the real Esau now. Who are you? He answered, I'm your firstborn son, Esau. But look at this, I want you to see. Then Isaac trembled very violently and said, who was it then that hunted game and brought it to me, and I ate it before you came? And look at this, he says, and I've blessed him. Yes, and he shall be blessed. When Isaac found out he'd blessed the wrong son, he trembled because he realized that the blessing had impartational power to it, that something had gone forth from him. And this is what I want you to be aware of, that the blessing that we speak today is not wishful thinking, and it isn't just a nice compliment. And the words that people have to speak to you, these blessing ministers are going to share and impart words and scriptures and positive thoughts over this whole year. This is much more than a compliment or just even encouragement. Biblically, it is to say that when blessing is released, something is happening in the Spirit. By one view, blessing shapes the whole narrative of the Bible. In the beginning, God blessed Adam and Eve, and God blessed Noah, and God blessed old Abraham, and Melchizedek blessed Abraham, and Isaac blessed Jacob, and Jacob blessed Ephraim and Manasseh, and Jacob blessed his 12 sons, and the Lord had Aaron, the priest, to speak the blessing over all the people regularly. God blessed David. David blessed his household, and after Jesus was born, a devout man named Simeon came and scooped up the baby Jesus and blessed him and blessed the family. When Jesus was baptized, a voice came from heaven. The Father blessed his Son. And Jesus, when he saw the children, he didn't just pray for them, he blessed them. And last thing that Jesus did on earth, the very last thing, as he was getting ready to ascend, he lifted up his hands and he blessed his disciples. And Paul continues this and says, we're to bless everybody, bless even your enemies. And in the end, the picture of a new heaven and a new earth is where there's no more curse and there's only blessing. This mystical theme about the benevolence and the goodness of God being imparted when in love, people speak and you receive a vision over your life that's biblical. So it's a powerful thing. And we're in a new sermon series called The Untroubled Heart, and this blessing coincides with it. I think about why this blessing and why now, and it has to do with how troubled people seem to be. and the prevalence of anxiety. I don't know why it came to mind. I was remembering our first year of marriage. I don't remember how long we'd been married in our apartment, and I sat up in the dead of night, just bolted up in bed at the dead of night. We're both sound asleep, and I cried out, pointing at the corner, "What is that?" Ann has gotten up in bed, trembling, cowering behind me. What? I just said it again. "What is it?" She said, "I don't know. What is it? What is it? I don't see it." And I said it a third time. I said, "What is it?" She said, "I don't know what is going on." And then all of a sudden I said, "Oh, never mind." And I fell back down to sleep. And I'd been having some kind of dream. Well, the newlywed wife did not fall back asleep. Instead, you can imagine the scene. She's waking me and she said, "What did you just do? And what is it? And what did you see?" And I'm embarrassed to tell it, but I said, I think I just said, "Honey, I had a dream and I saw a mass of wiggling worms in the corner of our room." She said, "You are kidding me." She said, "My heart is pounding over here." And I said, "Well, it was just a dream. No worries, honey. I love you. Good night." It wasn't so simple as that. We had one of our first marital conferences over this. And you can imagine the problem is while I was going to fall back asleep, now her heart is pounding. What's happened is I have just pointed to something in the corner that wasn't there, and it's not real. And eventually she goes, "Okay, I'll be fine." But what's happened is her heart is now all stirred up. In fact, that's the word that Jesus uses for troubled. It's a word in the Greek that means all stirred up, churned up on the inside. And he's talking about the heart. Don't let your heart be troubled. The heart, that inward deep command center that's kind of leading us all throughout life. And so that picture, for some reason, comes to mind, thinking about how, Ann got fine after when she went back to sleep. But in the modern world, doesn't it seem like that with all of the noise around us all the time, that in one way or another, somebody, some media, something is pointing into a dark corner all the time saying, "Oh, look at that, there's something terrible there." Or "Over there, look at that, that's terrible." And it's not just the bad news, it's something about the way society has emerged that has now led us to a point where this young generation is 3 times more likely to suffer from anxiety than any generation before. Of college students, 70% report that they are anxious at least half or more of the time in their whole lives. We are an anxious society. And Jesus spoke timeless words to his disciples in John chapter 14 when he said, don't be troubled. It's something very close to his heart, and it's something very powerful to hear it from Jesus himself. And this is part of what happens with blessing. It carries with it a kind of beautiful and warm and yet mystical quality that you can call prophetic or just call it powerful, because when you receive truth, it's like light that just shines into that dark corner and you go, "There's nothing over there." And you begin to experience it. But Jesus is offering something that is not just a process or a program or a strategy for you to have peace. He's offering more. He's offering his very own peace. And while we can't guarantee that there's not going to be a voice in your life this year that points to some fictitious, ugly, wriggling thing in the dark, and we can't guarantee there are not going to be some pests along the way, we can say this with real confidence. Jesus came to give you his peace. So every person, every household, every family, we invite you to open up your heart and to receive the New Year's blessing and every other kind of word of encouragement and strength that blessing minister will have to speak over you. And I'd love the privilege of being the first to speak the 2025 New Year's blessing to you as you open up your heart and receive. Jesus offers you his own peace, the calm of his very heart. And I bless you to receive it. May all the worrisome what ifs hush as Jesus assures you, I leave you peace. My peace I give to you. I don't give it to you as the world does. So don't let your heart be troubled or afraid. That's the 2025 New Year's blessing, and that's the gospel.